Rush in the house, baby. Travis Thomas with my man Khalin Kapoor, who I never know where he is. Where in the world is Khalin Kapoor this time? How you doing, my friend?
Travis, I'm doing fantastic. It's great to be back. I currently am long ways away from Boston. I'm in central Wisconsin for the entire summer. I'm up here doing some play-by-play for a baseball team. It's great to be here, though, be back with you, and great to talk Foxboro Rush. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. It's been too long, my friend. All right, let's get it started. So, Xavier Worthy, we know him recently on TikTok for other reasons, but former NFL executive Mike Lombardi said on the Pat McAfee show he claimed, Cullen, that the Patriots were in high-speed pursuit of Xavier Worthy on draft night. They tried to trade up to take him. Do you think the Patriots missed out on him, or are you happy with the wide receivers that they ended up with?
Travis, first things first, obviously it would be great, 4-2-1 speed wide receiver. The guy's a menace on the field. But look, I'm not disappointed with what the Patriots got in this draft. And it's also really confusing why this ended up happening, why the Chiefs ended up getting him, I cannot comprehend why the Bills would rather the Chiefs get a Tyreek Hill mold wide receiver as opposed to the Patriots. I get in division, I get it. But the Chiefs are the one team that have tortured the Bills over the past 5 years, and Mahomes is the quarterback that's tortured the Bills over the past 5 years. But all of that being said, on the Patriots side of the ball, I like the guys that they got. And look, we're talking about Jalen Polk here out of Washington. He was their second-round wide receiver pick. And I really, really think that he fits in the offense better than Xavier Worthy would. Just think about the skill sets and the archetypes of the two guys. Does Jacoby Brissett need a home run hitter in this offense? Not necessarily. Does Jacoby Brissett or Drake May, maybe down the line, need a guy with elite hands, elite route running, and could be the quarterback's best friend? Yes, and that's what it comes down to for me. Xavier Worthy may be able to flash the burners and be Tyreek Hill for Patrick Mahomes. I don't know how effective he would be with an either Jacoby Brissett under center or a developing quarterback in Drake May, and I think that is the only thing that's in question here. I really, really like the guys, to answer your question, Travis, that the Patriots got in this draft.
Yeah, listen, I think that's well said. And by the way, when you talk about this speed, I heard the same thing about Tyquan Thornton as well. He's some burner. He's going to stretch defenses.
Think about Joe Ross, too. Same kind of thing.
Right, same thing. So a lot of times these small guys who are fast, not all of them end up being Tyreek Hill, right? And we understand that. So, listen, props to Xavier Worthy. He has Patrick Mahomes. He may turn out to be Tyreek Hill. I don't know. But I know this. There were other guys. I just wrote this down while you were talking. Xavier Legette, I liked. Big body. See, I look at this as kind of what you were saying. Stylistically, I'd rather have a big body wide receiver who can run everything in the route tree, who has good, solid hands right now. I look at Xavier Worthy, even going to the Chiefs or the Bills. You brought up the Bills as well. Either team, he ends up with the Chiefs, of course, but even if it was the Bills, it feels like a luxury piece to have. I do not believe the Patriots are in position right now to have a luxury piece anywhere. You need production. You need productivity from that position, and that's why I would much rather have a big body that could just, on 3rd and 6, go keep the chains moving, get me a first down. So Xavier Legette's someone I thought of. Hell, if you really want to go crazy, Marvin Harrison Jr. was available. He can do it all. True. I mean, he has the size and the speed capabilities to be a burner as well, and they went in a different direction, which I'm okay with. I wanted Drake May. I'm not complaining here, but I'm just saying, why even waste time? And then we see this kid on TikTok already not making the best decisions. And remember this. This is no longer Bill Belichick's regime we're talking about here either, right? Now it's a little more loosey-goosey. We're going to get into a celebrity that was at practice here. They have basketball courts around the facility now. They're playing music. They're playing cards. They're hanging out. So Xavier Worthy in this environment could produce the same results off the field, I'm talking, as it is right now in Kansas City, which is not a good look. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go on TikTok and look it up for yourself. But I look, I'm not going to sit here and act like this kid is Jerry Rice or something. He may turn out to be fantastic, but I, like you, my friend, I am happy with what the Patriots did in the draft at the wide receiver position, Cullen, and others as well. I thought they had a really good draft across the board.
They did, and I think it's also important to contextualize here, Travis. We keep saying big body and bigger frame. Let's just break down the numbers here. Jalen Polk is 2 inches taller and probably has 30 or 40 pounds on Xavier Worthy, and that's the kind of thing, if it's Drake May under center, a bigger target that can go up and get the football in a contested 50-50 ball. A guy in the interior, Jalen Polk, was a Z slot type receiver over in Washington that can run those inside routes, make catches, and not get knocked down. That's the kind of thing that, even if it is Jacoby Brissett, that's going to be helpful for Patriots offense. We're not expecting them to toss the ball down the field and get 80-yard home runs every single play. For the Chiefs, that's just what they do. That's just their style. That's not who the Patriots are trying to be. You also mentioned the off-the-field concerns for a guy like Xavier Worthy. Every single inch and ounce of reporting about Jalen Polk always starts with this guy is the best off the field, the best character-driven type player. And that's the kind of thing where if you're a guy like Xavier Worthy who's being cramped down in perhaps a Bill Belichick system of years past, that's the kind of thing that does boil over. So I think we can't compare this because it's apples and oranges to me. Jalen Polk and Xavier Worthy are completely different wide receivers, and it seems like they're completely different characters as well. And I think the Patriots, for their offense, got the best one that they could have got.
That's a good point, the temperament, right? And you know, you could look at Xavier Worthy and say, hey, you're already seeing some diva-like behavior out of him, especially now the spotlight's on him. He's got a little bit of money, and we see how he's kind of acting out, as opposed to, by the way, not just the rookies. Outside of Juju Smith-Schuster, who I have to imagine has to be humbled a bit by now. My God.
You would hope.
You would hope,
Hopefully
right?
no more dancing on the logos here this season, you know, when he's in the Patriots uniform.
The last few years of his career, I would think, would be humbling to him. So if you look at the wide receiver room as a whole, you know, we're quick to talk about, well, where's the talent? Who's the guy? Who's the number one wide receiver? I get all that. But temperament-wise, this is more of a worker bee type room. This is more of a hard hat, blue collar type wide receiver room, which, to your point, with a young, rookie, impressionable quarterback, I would much rather have that than a potential nightmare in Xavier Worthy. I don't want to beat the kid up too bad because of the TikTok stuff. We'll see what he turns into, but that's Patrick Mahomes. I mean, literally, Patrick Mahomes could pick up the phone and say, bro, get your shack together and get off TikTok, and the kid should do it. Here, you're not going to have that. Jacoby Brissett is not decorated enough, Cullen. And then Drake May's still young himself. So I agree with you. I think the wide receiver room as a whole, not just the rookies, all of these guys seem to have the right temperament and should be able to fit into the system, whatever it is. But, Cullen, there's nowhere to go but up, brother. I mean, they were dead last in offense last year. So whatever the system is, I'm willing to see it, my friend.
And I think that's the important thing that we have to always keep all-encompassing when we have these types of conversations, is that each and every one of these drafted wide receivers, whether it be Jalen Polk, Javon Baker as well he profiles, honestly, to be a number one wide receiver if he can get there in terms of development. But look, if you just look at last year, which I know no one wants to do, I myself cringe at looking at these stats from last season. You think about the offense that was being run, you think about Mac Jones, then it's Bailey Zappi, then it's this, then it's that. But now things, at the very least, culture-wise, seem to be coming together. We're going to see this in OTAs. We're going to see this in preseason and then in week one. But there is hope here for me. Not that this offense is going to be a burner-type offense that's going to score 30 points a game. That's not going to happen. Realistically speaking, it's not. They might not even get to 20 points a game. But we're going to see the building blocks and the development. And I think a guy like Jalen Polk, I'm going to say it one more time, is the perfect wide receiver to, one, develop with Drake May. They're going to develop together and hopefully get a good rapport down the line, but also be a guy that can buy into a system that doesn't necessarily have to succeed week one. That's going to be a growth process. That's going to be a step-by-step process. And I think Jalen Polk is a guy that can do that. Javon Baker, the same thing. And if we see that by week 4, by week 5, that the guys are bought into the system, we can say this is a success of a draft in terms of the wide receivers.
Absolutely. Okay, as far as offensive weapons, I don't know. Maybe the rapper Gunna can get involved. Maybe Gunna could be a weapon here in this Patriots offense. I thought it was random when I was seeing this video over the weekend of him at the Patriots practice, but then I found out he had a show over the weekend here in Boston. So I said, okay, now it makes a little more sense. But check this out. My man was all over the place. He's catching passes. He's on the jugs machine. I mean, what is going on here? Gonna wanna Khalin balling out for the Pats.
Look, Travis, no drops on the high-speed jugs machine. You put me in front of that machine right now, I'm probably going to catch maybe 50%, if that. So obviously impressive. I don't see him suiting up anytime soon. You notice if you look a little bit closer, the footwork, he's not moving his feet. If he makes that catch in the middle of the field, he's getting blown up by the middle linebacker, by a safety coming down the middle. So look, he's not going to be the next Julian Edelman. He's not going to be the next Randy Moss or Justin Jefferson. But he's a guy, that can catch the football. So if we're talking about him as a celebrity that can take to the field, I don't know if I agree with that. But I'm just going to say off the top, it's pretty impressive. One, the transformation that Gunna's gone through, if you know anything about his history. Yeah. But two, that he stands up there in front of the jugs machine and doesn't have a drop. That's pretty impressive stuff right there.
Yeah, he's lost a ton of weight. We're showing him here in the weight room looking lean and mean. Yeah. I mean, look, he's a decent athlete. It's no doubt about it. I've seen worse. I mean, obviously, sometimes, especially with these rappers, man, they smoke and drink so damn much. They're out of breath going up a flight of stairs. So at least Gunna, is in tremendous shape, obviously. I think you said it all. You go across the middle, you're going to get your head knocked off your shoulders. So we don't need any of that. But at least he didn't embarrass himself. He's out there catching, running routes, lifting with the team, and I'm sure he had a great show. I'm actually a big Gunna fan, Khalin. Are you a big fan?
I can't say I've listened to too much of his music, but after watching this clip right now, I think I got to check out Spotify right now, see if he can match his hands with the bars. In whatever songs he has. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan yet, but now I think I'm going to have to start tuning in.
Brother, I assure you his bars are way better than his hands. He has a new album too, so check that out. All right, now, so looking at Gunna, right, makes me think, who are the top celebrities you would want to see play for the Patriots? Why don't you give me a handful of here? Who would you take right now? Celebs in any genre, wherever it is, movies, music, other athletes, whatevs. Give me a celeb you would want to just take and put on the Patriots right now. Would it be Gunna, or are you going somewhere else?
Travis, I'm going to take a guy that has played some football in his career, but look, he was just on an on-screen roast presented by Netflix. You know who I'm talking about? Yeah. I'm saying Tom Brady should be the next celebrity for the Patriots. Obviously, low-hanging fruit there, but hey, he's an on-screen celebrity now. I mean, he was on Netflix. He's made it to the top of that arena. But I think the obvious answer here, that's not Tom Brady. I think everyone who would be asked this question would think of this guy first, and that's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He played football before in college. He went to the CFL. I mean, maybe prime wrestling Rock would be a little bit more exciting. He would actually play D-tackle at Miami.
That's right.
Rock now would still be able to make some pancakes on the D-line, I'd say that much.
Yeah, let me go back to your Brady thing, because who am I to push back on the great Tom Brady? But
you would, though.
Could I argue that bringing Brady back right now, I mean, don't you stunt Drake May's growth? Because clearly, if you bring Brady back, you are redshirting Drake May. Drake May is not playing this year, and I'm not okay with that. I want to see Drake May play. If you bring in Brady back, Drake May's not playing this year. We all know that. But, I love Tom. But some of me's like, hey, he's done his thing with the Patriots. If Tom were to come back, go to some other team. I want to see Drake May do his thing. Is that fair to say?
Travis, the last time Tom Brady came back and went to play for another team, he won a Super Bowl with another team. So I appreciate you bringing that hater mentality to this conversation, Travis. It wouldn't be Foxboro Rush without that. But look, I mean, we're talking about development for Drake May. We're talking about having fun in this conversation. Wouldn't it be cool to see Netflix's own Tom Brady come back to the New England Patriots?
I love that. Netflix's own. All right, so look, I'm off of Brady. I'm even off of Drake May. You know who I'm going to do? I'm going to bring in Jamie Foxx, but as Willie Beeman from Any Given Sunday, because Willie Beeman could do it all. First of all, he was obscure. He came out of nowhere. That wasn't even his team. He was a third-string dude. Then he came in. He could dance on you. He could boogie on you. He could scramble. He could throw. He could do it all. I need Jamie Foxx as Willie Beeman for my celebrity pick. And then you went The Rock. I'll go with you on that one as well. Prime Rock, old Rock, I don't give a damn. Give me that large dude on the defensive line, like you said. Go out there and just make something happen, brother. I'm with you. Good pick.
Yeah, I think that's the pick. And I mean, I'll throw one more out there just for fun. You mentioned Jamie Foxx, a movie star, a guy that's been in movies a lot. He's a huge celebrity. Mark Wahlberg has already played a football legend on screen.
Yeah.
And, you know, you look at anything that Mark Wahlberg posts, the guy is absolutely ripped. He's built. He could be the next Julian Edelman, the next Wes Welker, the next Danny Amendola for the Patriots if he suits up.
I had to look this guy's name up. That's a good pick, by the way, with Wahlberg. He's a little small, but I had to look his name up because I just Googled guy who plays Jack Reacher. And I got Alan Richardson or something. Whoever. Yeah. Jack Reacher. I need him. Okay, that is a large human being. He's strong as an ox. I could put him next to The Rock on the D-line. Hell, if he can run, I put him at tight end, Cullen. Maybe he can. He could be a Gronk 2.0. Give me Reacher. That dude's going to make things happen, Cullen.
Oh, he would be Gronk 2.0. I mean, I've watched some Reacher in my time. He would just be on the line of scrimmage, just boxing out and then punching out the quarterbacks. Like, that's what he would be doing. That's a great pick.
For all the latest on everything Boston sports and pop culture, check us out on Boston Has Entered the Chat for the full episode on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your podcast. And make sure you follow us on all your social media accounts for all of our best content. All right, let's keep it going here. CJ Stroud put this on his IG stories. He said his top QBs from last season. He had Patrick Mahomes 1. He had Lamar 2. He had himself 3. He had Josh Allen 4, and he had Dak 5. I do not hate this list, although, Cullen, in full disclosure, I would not have C.J. Stroud on my top 5. I'm going Mahomes. I agree with him there. I'm going Lamar. I agree with him there. But I don't understand. You got to – look, C.J. Stroud, I respect him, but I think – I got to go Josh Allen over him. I do. The Bills without Josh Allen had no shot at all. The only reason, remember, they got hot at the end of the season. They were a mess all year. Josh Allen was carrying that team. Then they got hot and got in. Yeah. Without Josh Allen, that is not a playoff team. It's not even close. And then this offseason, you saw them lose a ton of players from their defense. We know Stephon Diggs is gone. Even though I believe they're going backwards, they're going in the worst direction, I feel as though if you have Josh Allen as your quarterback, you're going to at least be a wild card team. So I'll go him. I'll go Tua 4. Cullen, no one's talking about the numbers. Tua put up video game numbers last season because we finally saw him stay healthy. Now, it's a different conversation for another day because I think you and I would agree on this, whether or not he deserves the bag of money that he wants, right? But that's not where I'm going here. That's not where I'm going. I'm just going strictly off of what we saw last season, his performance, being able to prove he can stay healthy. So I'll go 2 4, and then Jared Goff, who we know was all-world last year.
I love it.
I'll go him 5.
Yeah, I like this list. I'm going to just one thing about the CJ Stroud thing. You mentioned you don't agree with him putting himself on the list, but every single time I see a list like this one, a player ranking their top guys or whatever it is, the first thing I think of is Chase Claypool. The first thing I think of is Chase Claypool saying that he is a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. Yes. And we all know that's not the case. But the thing that I really, really love about CJ Stroud is that he did not put himself first. He still knows that there's places to get to, that there's stuff to work on. Look at Lamar ahead of him. Maybe CJ Stroud wants to be more mobile in the pocket and run more. Look at Mahomes. CJ Stroud knows that he hasn't accomplished what Mahomes has accomplished. So when this thing happens, when there is a list like this, when the confidence borders on arrogance, that's Chase Claypool, then I have a problem with it. I have absolutely no problem with CJ Stroud putting himself third, because it makes me realize that he knows that there are still places to get to for him in his NFL career. That's why I was really impressed with this list. My list is very, very similar to his. I do have Stroud on mine. I have Mahomes and Lamar first. And then I have CJ Stroud third. By the way, my list is quarterbacks that impressed me the most this past season, not necessarily the top 5 statistically speaking or whatever it is. I have Stroud up there at 3. There's not a lot of times you see a rookie quarterback, throw just 5 interceptions. That's why Stroud is there. He led his team to the playoffs. I have Jared Goff in the 4 spot. I think what he was able to accomplish for himself, for the city of Detroit, is incredibly impressive. Again, like the Tua thing, did he deserve the bag? That's a different conversation. I think Detroit they had to do what they had to do to get Jared Goff to stay there, and the money was the money. And then in the 5 spot, I have a bit of a wild card here, and that's Jordan Love. And I think Jordan Love, if you look at the most improved players from last year to this past season, Jordan Love's got to be one of those guys, right? When he was kind of in that rookie transition phase, there were so many things you saw that was just mind-boggling in terms of decision-making, in terms of throws, routes, anything like that. Right. This year, he leads the Packers to a playoff game, a playoff victory, and he shows that when he's throwing to guys that you have never heard of in your entire life, he can make things happen. So I think Jordan Love is my 5th most impressive player. Sure. Josh Allen, Travis, he turned the ball over 25 times last year. So, yes, he's great. Yes, he's an elite weapon in terms of running, passing, everything like that. I can't look past the turnovers, though. The same thing can be said for Tua. I'm going to put Jordan Love above those in terms of most impressive for me. But I'm just going to bookend this with one last thing about CJ Stroud. I think him putting himself 3 again just shows the level of maturity that he still has, that he knows he's not Patrick Mahomes yet. Maybe he's going to get there. Maybe he's going to be the next great QB, like you were talking about in a previous episode, Travis. But he knows he still has things to work on. And this season, with the weapons that he now has, I think he's going to take yet another leap.
Now, let me defend Josh Allen for a second on the turnovers, because I thought about this. And listen, just watching Bills games, it is so clear how dependent they are on him. I mean, he has not had a running game really his whole career. He is the running game at this point for them. And I just think, they're too dependent on Josh Allen, and that is probably – now, I'm not saying he's not careless with the football sometimes as well. In fact, since Brian Daboll's been gone, I almost feel like Josh Allen, to a certain extent, has regressed a bit. But
he's trying to play the hero in every single game.
Yes, exactly. He's playing hero ball, and it gets him into trouble. But even with the turnovers, the fact that they're still in every game, the fact that they can make the playoffs, I think it just speaks to his greatness. But I jotted this down while you were talking about Jordan Love, because I thought it was interesting. I didn't even think of him for my top 5. Not that I don't like him, but you bring up a lot of great points, and I jotted this down. So you have Jordan Love. We both like C.J. Stroud, even though I didn't have Stroud in my top 5. We both know he's awesome, and I am a Jordan Love fan. And then I wrote this name down, too. Neither one of us have even gone here. Brock Purdy. So out of these 3 young quarterbacks, Stroud, Love, and Purdy, there's other young quarterbacks in this league, but I feel like these 3 in particular played so great last season, and we're all just penciling in that they're going to be great again this season. It was one of the reasons why I left Stroud out of this list, is because I just haven't seen enough to know. Sure. You see, most of my guys are veteran guys, and I only put Tua in there because he proved he could stay healthy. But I have a little bit of trepidation, Cullen, I'm assuming C.J. Stroud's going to be as great. They went out and get him another weapon in Stephon Diggs, but I just don't know. I'm assuming Jordan Love is going to be great again next season, but I don't know because, hell, the first half of the season, I didn't see anything. I was calling this guy a bust. Absolutely. He sat there behind Rodgers forever, and he's not – it looks like it was worth nothing. And then all of a sudden he got hot towards the end of the season. We know the rest of the story. Brock Purdy has done nothing but win since he's been inserted into that starting lineup, but clearly not dynamic. It almost feels like he's at his ceiling in a way. So I ask you, I bring up these young guys to ask you, out of those three, Stroud, Love, Purdy, who do you trust the most next season? Is it Stroud?
I think this is a really interesting question because you have to think about the systems in place for each quarterback. And Brock Purdy, I mean, to be completely honest with you, he didn't even cross my mind for this list, and I think that's a me problem, not a Brock Purdy problem, because he has proven time and time again that he can do the most important thing in the NFL. It's not throw touchdowns. It's not run, for 100 yards a game. It's not pass for 300 yards a game. It is win football games, and that is what Brock Purdy has proven. I think if we're talking holistically, team-wide, I think Purdy's probably going to be the most successful quarterback in next season in that regard. If we're talking stats, if we're talking touchdowns, maybe CJ Stroud throws for 1,000 more yards than he does. Maybe he throws for 10 more touchdowns than he does. Do I think the Texans get more wins than the San Francisco 49ers? I really don't. So I think if we're judging things by those metrics, which honestly should be the most important metrics of how many wins is a team going to get, I still think that McCaffrey-Purdy combination with the defense that the Niners has and still had, I think they're probably going to win more games than the Texans. That's not to say the Texans are going to be bad. And I think both those teams are going to win more than the Packers. So I think Jordan Love, in terms of team and in terms of expectations, isn't there yet. Because I still think you look at the Niners, you still see a Super Bowl team. At least I do. So that's kind of where I draw that line. Purdy, in terms of most impressive quarterbacks, is he up there? I'm sounding like Cam Newton right now. Is he dynamic? Probably not much as CJ Stroud. Yeah. But he's shown that he can win football games. That's right. And that is really, really important stuff.
Well, you use the key word, the system in place for him, right?
Right.
Look, I'm going to throw you a curveball here. I think it's Jordan Love, ironically.
Interesting. Okay.
And you know why? And you sort of touched on this, but I think wins matter, obviously. We know that Texans should take another step. That's a team we saw win a playoff game. I get it. But I'm just looking at divisions here, Cullen. I mean, the Jaguars, it is or get off the pot time for them, so they're going to be desperate. Yes. The Colts get back Anthony Richardson at quarterback, and we'll see what
how many games is he going to be available.
Right. We'll see, right? And we'll see even with Will Levis. He has some weapons now. We'll see if he can play or not. And then San Francisco, we understand – the Rams, Cardinals will be improved. Seahawks always tough. But I'm looking at the NFC North, bro. I mean, outside of the Lions, who I know you and I both like, I mean, do you believe in J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings? I sure as hell don't. No. I do like Caleb Williams, but we'll see, right? It's a question mark for the Bears. I think Jordan Love has a real opportunity, and that Packers roster is ready to go. LaFleur can coach. Obviously, we understand as the season gets late, and we're talking December, January, Lambeau becomes a real home field advantage. I think Jordan Love has an opportunity here, as long as he is consistent, to take that next leap into this class that we're talking about now. All right, let's keep talking quarterbacks here as we shift to the NFC East. So what we've been doing, we've been going through each division in football and ranking the top quarterbacks in said division. So today is the NFC East. The floor is yours, sir. Give me the rankings of quarterbacks.
So I'm going to start from the bottom up here.
Okay.
Because all I want to do is say Daniel Jones is number 4 in this ranking. I'm putting him under a quarterback that has not seen any NFL action yet. That being Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. I have him at number 3. Number 2 is going to be, for me, Dak Prescott, and I have Jalen Hurts at number 1. And I know the stats don't necessarily back up the Jalen and Dak rankings that I have here. If you look at Dak Prescott's season, it was an MVP caliber season. If you look at the passing yardage and the touchdowns and the big wins that he had. I do think, however, if we're looking at this upcoming season, that Jalen Hurts and the Eagles are going to be a little bit more successful than the Dallas Cowboys. I still think both teams make the playoffs like they've been doing for the past couple of years. I think the Eagles are going to be more successful. I think Saquon Barkley, obviously, DeAndre Swift has been great and was great in that offense. Saquon Barkley is just a different breed of running back and a different breed of athlete than anyone else in the NFL, and he's shown that when he's been healthy. If he does stay healthy, I think that combo is going to be great. The offensive line did get worse. The defense did get a little bit worse. The coaching staff had a lot of question marks last year. And I know I'm not helping my own case here, Travis, but that's just the reality of the situation. I still think that Jalen Hurts is going to be better than Dak Prescott next year. I think the Cowboys' question marks are a little bit higher and outweigh those of the Eagles, and the Giants. The Cowboys' question marks are still coaching, right? They haven't solidified themselves in terms of coaching staff. We had a whole conversation about if Bill Belichick would be a good fit for the Dallas Cowboys because McCarthy just didn't seem like he was, because he can't win a playoff game. So I think in this NFC East that is going to be strong again, at least in the top two teams. I think New York's going to be a dumpster fire again. I think Washington is going to take steps, but they're still probably going to win maybe 7, maybe 8 games. It's not going to be a roaring success over there in DC. So I think these two top teams are going to be the ones duking it out. And I think in the end, when the dust settles and the battle's over, it's going to be the Eagles that look back and say, we had a more successful season. And I think Jalen Hurts, after a bit of a rocky road last year, is going to finally solidify it. He made it to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. I'm not saying he's going to do that this year, but I think he's going to find himself a little bit of an easier path this season than he had last year.
Okay, we agree and disagree. Let's start where we agree, because it's funnier. I have Daniel Jones in the basement as well, my friend. In fact, I don't understand, Colin, and we can't go back into time, and we'll never understand it. But I don't get why the Giants paid Daniel Jones and decided to tell Saquon to kick rocks. Like, it's mind-blowing to me still, and it's in the past. And I still if I'm a Giants fan, I would be sick to my stomach. You paid him, and you told our best offensive weapon to get lost?
The ripple effect of that contract is felt even today. You mentioned Saquon, but also the fact that the Giants did not draft a quarterback, or at least spend high draft capital on one, was because of that contract.
Yeah, I agree. And then, look, Jaden Daniels, you and I do agree. Like, remember, outside of Caleb Williams, everyone said this was the most pro-ready guy, as in, plug and play right now. Michael Penix was the other one. Unfortunately for him, he has to sit behind Kirk Cousins. But, you know, I think Jaden Daniels, with that dual threat ability, is going to give the Commanders something. I mean, that franchise is a mess right now. So I think they will enjoy having this rookie quarterback now, a guy who can throw, a guy who can run, a guy who's been in big games, big stages, bright lights. Shouldn't bother him too much. I anticipate him and Caleb Williams both maturing very quickly and being factors in this season, quite frankly, coming up for their respective teams. But I'm going to go Dak over Jalen here. That's where we disagree. And a lot of the points, it's not really a big argument, because I think you do see the vision of going Dak over Jalen. I hear you.
Absolutely.
Because Jalen Hurts is more gifted than Dak Prescott. Anyone can see that. But since Shane Steichen has left and went to coach the Colts, Jalen Hurts has not looked the same. And everyone's saying, well, you know, that coordinator, that system really helped him. Like, no, if you're a great quarterback in this league, you're going to lose players. You're going to lose coordinators. Right. Like, you have to overcome this, and you have to have a baseline of greatness. And I know that's a high bar, but that's what it is. I mean, we forget now, Jalen Hurts went toe-to-toe, mano-a-mano, like a heavyweight fight with Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, and damn near beat him.
By all accounts, should have gotten that ring.
Damn near beat him. One mistake that he made, a fumble, remember, was the difference. So then he comes back this past year, and I get it. He dealt with injuries. The Eagles, period, dealt with injuries. I mean, their secondary was a sieve. It was a mess. So I get it. But I need to see a baseline. There were times last year Jalen Hurts looked awful. And
remember the playoffs. I mean, 9 points in that playoff game.
The body language was atrocious. Like, he was down on himself. Guys are looking at him like, what's up with you, Mr. Motivational Speaker? So I don't –
inspiring quotes.
Yeah, I didn't like what I saw from Jalen Hurts last year. Meanwhile, Dak Prescott, say what you want, I don't think the guy's ever going to win a Super Bowl. I'm going to just be honest with you. Or win any game that matters. Feels like very Kirk Cousins to me. But even in this type of setting where you're ranking divisional quarterbacks, I would have Kirk Cousins just as high because he gives you consistency. You know what you're going to get from him. You mentioned the numbers. I mean, the guy year in, year out gives you that. Now, if we're talking playoffs and we're ranking this stuff, then it's different.
Right.
But that's not what we're doing. We're just ranking, best quarterbacks in the division. Since I can go ahead and set my watch to knowing that Dak is going to give me big-time numbers during the regular season, right now I have to give him the edge over Jalen Hurts, who I just watched a season where I was like, what the hell is this? I mean, I was scratching my head all year with the Eagles and with Jalen Hurts. So unless Hurts bounces back in a big way, I'm going to be very much so skeptical of him moving forward, because then the conversation changes, Cullen, to can he ever get back to that Super Bowl form he was in? At least with Dak, we know what he is, and the only question is, can he elevate his game? We're not asking, what's up with Dak this year? His numbers are terrible. It's not that helter-skelter roller coaster ride as it feels like it is with Jalen Hurts. Does that make sense?
It does, and I think this is very much a prove-it year for both quarterbacks, but for very, very, very different reasons, right? Dak, the consistency is there. The numbers are there. He just catapulted CeeDee Lamb to 1,700 yards. The consistency is not a question. The question is, can he get to the playoffs and win big games? For Jalen Hurts, is the question mark the skill set? No. Is it the fact that he can get to the playoffs and get to a Super Bowl? No. It's can he overcome, to your point, and also be consistent game in, game out, and even on the micro scale, not game in, game out, but play in, drive in, quarter in, and quarter out. We've seen first quarters be really bad for Jalen Hurts. He comes in the second quarter, balls out, but by then the deficit's too big for the Eagles, right? I just mentioned that playoff game. That's exactly what happened. He wasn't great in any of the four quarters, but he got a little bit better as the game went on. But at that point, the Bucs were already well ahead and ahead of the 8-ball. So in this NFC East, that's why this is so intriguing to me, because these are two quarterbacks that are established, but there are still heavy question marks about this upcoming season that need to be addressed for both of them. And for Dak, I think those question marks are a little bit more stark, and it's because it revolves around winning playoff games as opposed to being consistent in the regular season. But that's why this division is going to be really intriguing to me. I think on the Giants side of things, can Daniel Jones be a good quarterback like he was, four years ago now? I don't even know how long it was.
Was he ever?
Like he had that one cool game against the Bucs where he ran for a few touchdowns. And other than that, I'm really interested in this division. I mean, I'm a DC guy at heart, so I'm really excited to see what Jaden Daniels can bring to the Washington Commanders. But at the top of this division is where that really lies. And I'm really excited to see what these guys bring and if they can finally erase those question marks entirely. And I don't think it's going to happen on the Dak Prescott side. To your point, do I think the Cowboys are going to win a Super Bowl anytime with Dak Prescott? I don't. I just don't think that this team, and maybe to an extension Prescott, is built for that, because he just hasn't been in his entire NFL career.
All right, let's keep making fun of the Cowboys. Netflix is to air a Dallas Cowboys documentary series. Oh, my God. It's about Jerry Jones taking the Cowboys to 3 NFL titles back when I was a little kid. I mean, they haven't done anything since, Cullen. Listen, the 10-episode series will explore America's team through never-before-seen footage and interviews with longtime Cowboys owner, president, and general manager Jerry Jones, as well as some all-time great players of the 90s. We know the names: Aikman, Irvin, Emmitt Smith, Dion, Jimmy Johnson, Barry Switzer, the whole kit and caboodle there. I mean, is this Netflix series for the fans or for Jerry Jones is really the question here, Colin.
Travis, I'm going to do my best to be as respectful as possible with talking about this. And to do so, I'm going to channel Stephen A. Smith. Let me tell you this. We do not care.
Right.
Okay? Like, listen. Michael Jordan deserved 10 episodes in The Last Dance.
Yes.
Tom Brady deserved 10 episodes in Man of the Arena. Does a team from 30 years ago deserve 10 episodes in 2024? Absolutely not. It's not even a question. Yeah, Dallas fans love their history. Yeah, Jerry Jones loves seeing his face on the screen. That doesn't mean the NFL public at large should give two you-know-whats about this. And I'm sorry that I'm being disrespectful, but come on now. Like, there are more important things, more exciting things to spend time on, to spend money on if you're Netflix, than a 10 2-part documentary on a team from 35 years ago. You said you were a little kid. I wasn't even alive when this happened. Young NFL fans, young Dallas fans even, why would they care about this? This is a Jerry Jones vanity project and nothing else. The question is it for the fans or is it for Jerry Jones? I think at this point, the answer to that question about anything will always be it's about Jerry Jones, and that's exactly how I feel about this project.
Bro, you are preaching. In fact, I wrote this down. You inspired me with that speech so much. I wrote down clout chasers. That's what they feel like, right? Then I jotted down, let's look at some teams right in their backyard more relevant than the Cowboys are right now. Because that's what this Netflix thing is about. That's what Jerry Jones wants to be. Just sell tickets, be the brand, the big brand of the Cowboys, be relevant. They're not winning anything. I wrote this down. Right in Dallas, Cullen. Mavericks in the finals. Dallas Stars, perennial playoff team in hockey. How about Texas wide right now? The Texans. We just talked about C.J. Stroud and the upstart Texans. Now, we'll see if they could take that next step. But just for the sake of this convo, if you told either one of us that the Texans did take the next step and they're in the Super Bowl, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked at all. Texans. How about the young Houston Rockets, coached by Ime Udoka? They have young talent all over the place. They're learning how to win. We saw them make a playoff push here. I mean, I think the Rockets are for real. How about this? The Texas Longhorns. I mean, this is another team now with the young Manning coming up. I think Jerry Jones, who is getting older, and, listen, none of us live forever. So I'm sure he does feel that pressure of, like, I got to try to do something. They are not closer to a Super Bowl than ever. By the way, Dak Prescott, at some point, they're going to have to figure out what to do with his contract again. And I don't really see them moving off of Dak at this point. So my gut is they're going to continue, Cullen, to overpay Dak Prescott, because if you lose him, boy, now you're really irrelevant, possibly. At least if you have him, you have a chance at the playoffs. And Jerry's probably just hoping, man, I want to catch lightning in a bottle and maybe get a championship. But I feel as though this documentary is a reflection of, look, we're going to look back on the glory years. I'm sure it's going to make Jerry look great. It's going to be all about
the architect of all of this, all of that. Yeah,
of course. So it looked like some sort of genius when in reality, present day, his team continues, Cullen, to deal with slipping out of obscurity with every year that passes. And all these other teams I just told you in his own market are ascending. They're on the come up.
Yeah. And think about it this way, right? Think about it in a completely impartial lens. Obviously, I'm going to say it right now, I'm not the biggest Dallas Cowboys guy in the world, right? You could probably tell on what I just said. But I think about this as, yes, the Jerry Jones vanity project. Yes, it's for him and not for the fans. But also, I mean, a really cynical point of view on this is that this is a smokescreen because of the failures of this organization and of this franchise since that time of year, since that time back in the 90s, right? Dallas Cowboys fans that were alive and enjoyed those Super Bowl runs, all the credit to those teams. But they are probably as disillusioned with this team as any other Cowboys fan is, the Cowboys fans that weren't alive back in the 90s. So I think this could be a, hey, think about the glory days and don't think about right now. Don't think about the failures. Don't think about what you just said, Travis. What happens when Dak Prescott leaves the franchise? What happens, when you don't have a playoff win or a playoff, Super Bowl appearance in however many years it's been? So I can completely see Jerry Jones as the puppet master here pulling the strings and is like, hey, I'm going to get more screen time, and maybe I'm going to get some more fans to reminisce and wear rose-colored glasses about my franchise, about the glory days, and not think about the failures, the ineptitude, everything that has been happening since that time. I really struggle to think that that's not why this is happening. That and the fact that Jerry Jones just loves him some Jerry Jones.
Yes.
And that's why he's doing this.
Well said. Also, I'm good on all the documentaries here. I mean, at this point, Like seriously, you know what I would watch, Colin? Back in the day, that Cowboys, all those great Cowboys teams were so nuts. I mean, they rented out a house. They bought a house and called it the White House. You could Google what was going on in that house. I would rather
I don't
watch
think I need to Google it.
Well, exactly. I would rather watch a documentary on that than some piece that makes Jerry Jones look like a genius. I'll skip that. Thanks. Give me a White House documentary from the 90s Cowboys. I'll take that. For all of our best content of the day, make sure you follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. For Khalin Kapoor and Travis Thomas, Foxboro Rush, it's a wrap. Till we come back and rush you again. What a rush. Peace.